Check out Paddy's Rewards Club. Place 5 bets of £10 or more across any sport in a week and get a £10 free bet the next week. Paddy Power, you beauty! Max £10 bonus per person per week. Excludes shop bets. Selected odds. Conditions and exclusions apply. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
Hi there, a very warm welcome along to the Racing Post Weekend Postcast. I'm Bruce Millington and I am joined by my Racing Post colleagues David Jennings over in Ireland, and alongside me in the studio making a very welcome Postcast debut, Peter Thomas. We've also got Frank the Tank Hickey from Paddy Power, who's got all the odds and hopefully some winners. So coming up in the show, there are 7 races live on ITV on Saturday afternoon, 4 at Ascot, hopefully 3 at Haydock. The forecast's not brilliant, but fingers crossed. And then there's also loads of other meetings. Hopefully the lads have been studying hard and have all the winners for you. We will let you know who won the free bet from Paddy Power, and we'll get to Sunday where the attention turns to Thurles with 2 really good races there as well. So we will start off by saying a very warm welcome to Peter Thomas, who you will no doubt be aware of because almost every Sunday he's up there in the Races studio as part of the forum. But this is the big one for him, the Racing Postcast. Don't be nervous, Pete. As always with the debutantes, we'll ask you a few questions so that everyone can get to know you.
Go on.
First up, what did you do most recently? Eat a kebab or dance?
Oh, they've both been about 25 years ago, I think.
Oh, really?
Probably dance, yeah. I haven't had a kebab. I was on the way home once and bought a kebab and ate the paper wrapper out of it. And I decided
Probably
after
the healthiest
that...
part of it.
It probably was, but I decided after that, no more.
And punting-wise, I've worked with you, must be the thick end of 30 years, Pete, but I've never really been able to tell what sort of punter you are. I mean, are you someone who likes a punt on a regular basis, or do you spend all your money on fine wine and tweed cardigans?
That's how I pay for my fine wine and tweed cardigans. By punting.
Okay, excellent.
I love punting. I'm a regular punter. I'm an old-fashioned dinosaur kind of punter. I'm sort of straight win horses, and that's basically.
Do you have a credit account with Heathorns or something?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Sunderlands and Heathorns. That's
excellent.
It.
Jolly good. Okay, well, hopefully you've got some winners. Hopefully the chaps over in Ireland are also fully loaded with value bets. Let's start with the big race of the day. It's the 3:35 at Ascot. It's the Royal Salute Whisky Clarence House Chase. It's a Grade 1 and Underso has won it for the last 2 years. He's a hot favourite, Frank, to win it again, I believe.
Yes, he's at age 15 with us. Brain Power's 3-1, Kyle Morlock 12-1, and San Benedetto and Sperrilick are both 20-1.
Okay, Pete, you are the debutant, so you go first. Now, this isn't going to be the most exciting betting heat. Do you think the favourite's a lump-on job? Do you fancy Brain Power, one of the rags, or is it a race to watch and savour?
I think if you want to have a bet, there's only one bet. I can't see any reason why the favourite's going to get beaten. I mean, I think you're always looking at these. Is he a strong favourite or a weak favourite? He's just got to be a strong favourite.
Do you think he's so underrated?
No, I think you know roughly where you stand with him.
But if you look at what he's done, Pete, I mean, this race, unless something goes badly wrong, he'll break through the £1 million earn barrier. He's got a fantastic win record. He's got so many big races on his bedpost, and yet you wouldn't quite say that perhaps he's held in kind of the regard that you might expect a horse with that CV to have.
No,
do you know what I mean?
No, I do know what you mean. And we've got another one coming up later, the new one. You know, he's shown top-class form, left, right and centre for a long time. He's won over £1 million, but he's not a second-rater, but he's not one of those that's right up there. Underso's the same. I mean, he's just that couple of pounds shy of being a real superstar, I think.
And what happens is, does he piss up, or does Brain Power give him a battle? How does it pan out?
I think he'll win. I mean, obviously in these situations, you know, what is the ground like? How desperate is it going to be? But I think he'll win. I don't think he'll piss up, but I think he'll win nicely.
Okay, ground-wise, DJ, it's obviously important, you know, Ascot and Haydock and everywhere. There's a lot of rain forecast, isn't there? It's soft at the moment. How do you think it might run by tomorrow afternoon?
Yeah, it's going to be hard work. I think we know that for sure, and that will be certainly music to the ears of Underso followers. Like, he's a remarkable horse. You heard Pete there, putting him in the same bracket as the new one. Like, he's a completely different level to the new one. Like, this is a horse who is winning Grade 1s constantly. I made a comment a few weeks ago saying that on heavy ground over in a 2-mile flat race, I don't think there's any horse that would beat him, be it flat or jumps. I just think he ploughs through that heavy ground the same way he goes through good ground. Like, the only times he's been beaten when he stood up has been in April twice, in March and June. And that tells you all you need to know. I think he's a heavy ground, soft ground specialist. The funny thing is, these are probably 2 of my favourite horses in training. I still wouldn't be giving up on Brain Power for the Arkle. He's been my idea of the winner of that race for a long time. I know obviously Footpad was exceptional over Christmas, but I think he's a very good horse, and I think if David Mullins could have the ride back again at Sandown, I'm sure he'd love it. He's got jocked off. It was a bonkers ride. It made no sense whatsoever. I do think he'll put it up to Undersow, but Undersow on that ground, like, he's virtually unbeatable on that really soft ground. So, yeah, Undersow to beat Brainpower, very straightforward.
Okay, that's nice of DJ to dig out poor old Pete on his debut. Blimey,
Yeah, come on.
Yeah,
yeah.
Good grief. Frank, is there a bet here?
We were looking at it before the final decks, and I saw you ran a story about the gamble and Brainpower, and like the only angle I could see was obviously it was put in a big price initially because I don't think we thought anyway for starters it wouldn't run, but like unless you were backing it each way, nicking 6, 7, 8 to 1, knowing the field is going to cut up and you're trying to nick the each way apart. Like if you're backing this tomorrow, like if you're backing Brainpower at 11 to 4. The joke I had in the office was you're seriously lacking in Brainpower because this horse isn't nowhere near in the same league as Undersow, particularly on the forecast ground. Like it's soft, good to soft at the moment. There's some rain forecast overnight, so you imagine it's going to be soft. It's going to take a lot of going. Now, Undersow's record is 8 over 9 over hurdles, 9 out of 14 over fences. His defeats were second to Fox Norton at Punchestown over 2 miles in good ground last year. He was second to Sprint to Sacre in the Celebration Chase at Sandown and at Cheltenham, and he's fallen twice. Now, you compare that to Brainpower, who's a top-class handicapper, but in my opinion, nothing more. Like, his record in graded races are, he was beaten out the gap in a Grade 2 bumper at Aintree. He was 5 lengths third to Don't Touch It at Punchestown in Novice Grade 1. Beaten a distance in the Champion Hurdle. Beaten 3 1/4 lengths in the Punchestown Champion Hurdle, which was a terrible renewal. And then he was beaten at Sandown, albeit he got a bad ride, but it just, in graded company, he gets found out. He'll get found out tomorrow. Like,
how far will Undersow win by, Frank?
Like Undersow touched 4 to 5 there with a couple of firms during the week, and I'll be honest, if he touched 4 to 6 tomorrow, I'd have a scary, like, enough for a car kind of money on him, to be honest.
Blimey. Okay, so how far will he win? You'll be doing the distances. What you reckon? Over 8.5?
I wouldn't be any kind of expert on the distances, but like the only thing about the way the race is set up, that Sperdick likes to go handy and Kyle Morlock likes to be handy. But you imagine they'll still have a bit of work to take Undersow on. But at the same time, he's just unbeatable when he gets soft ground. And like, I don't think you need to even play the distances. Just like if this gets to 8, 13, 4 to 6, which I think it might do in a place, just have a whack on that. Okay. And that'll get you up a bit for the day.
Enough for a car, did he say?
Yeah, no, Frank is a big punter.
Is that a reflection on the confidence in the horse or on his car? Do we know what he drives?
That'll be a proper car, that. Don't worry about that. Right. I'll tell you all about Frank afterwards. Blimey, that boy can punt, honestly. But anyway, Pete, you've seen now with DJ and Frank how easy this gig is. You just sit back and
I just sit there and they've actually looked at the form.
There'll be a point at the transmission where when they do their roundups where you could actually pop out. You've got time to make us a cuppa. Anyway, we'll look at the 150 at Ascot, which is the olbg.com Mares Hurdle. Yet another mares race. One last year by the great Vroom Vroom Mag. Have we got another mare of that quality in this field? We've certainly got a hot favourite. We're on Great Tricks' La Bague au Roi. Give us a show of betting, Frank, and your idea of who's going to win.
Yeah, La Bague au Roi is our favourite at even money. Dusky Legend 5 to 2, Graceful Legend 8 to 1, Midnight Tuna and Sant Lady Lime 10 to 1, and Hitter Jack Lady is our outsider 20 to 1. This is a tough race. Like I wouldn't have a massively strong opinion. I think La Bague au Roi, she concedes. I think she concedes £4 here, but she's probably the one to beat. She was very tough at Kempton last time when she made a mistake at last and she beat Jur's Girl, giving her £4. And Jur's Girl is a very solid yardstick. I think she'll go out in front. I think she'll be tough enough to beat. I do think Dusky Legend will travel really well in behind her and look like she's going to go by her. But I think La Bague au Roi will tough it out. Like again, La Bague au Roi is 9 out of 12 in total, and the only time she's been beaten is in a Grade 2 at Bumper at Aintree, the Grade 2 Mares Novice at Cheltenham last year, and the Grade 1 Mersey Novice at Aintree behind Finian's Oscar. Like outside of that grade of company, she's very difficult to beat. I know this is a Grade 2, but it's probably a particularly weak renewal, and I think she'll be tough to beat. But yeah, it's not like massively confident either at even money. You wouldn't be having a big bet in it.
DJ, you going to row in with the jolly?
Yeah, like almost identical comments to Frank here, Bruce. I'd be slightly more confident, though. I do think Dusky Legend will travel really well. Dusky Legend's right at 139. You have to remember, Labago Roy beat Jers Girl, given Jers Girl £4, and Jers Girl is rated 144. That's a fair performance. And the fact that she battled back so well, she never ran over 3 miles before, and stamina could be her forte. If you remember in the Mayor's Hurdle last year at the Cheltenham Festival, like they tried to make so much use of her that day, but just on that ground over 2 mile one, it just wasn't her cup of tea at all. She just got outpaced coming down the hill and on the home turn. I think they've realised now that she's a stayer and they can properly ride her. She doesn't quicken, she just keeps on galloping. Like Frank said, if you're an in-running player here, there's 2 bets. You can lay Dusky Legend at a short price in running, or you can back Labago Roy probably at a bigger price turning in, because she'll probably be off the bridle. But I think she'll dog it out, and I think she'll win by maybe a length or 2.
Pete?
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I mean, this horse was very progressive last year. Even after she won 4, Warren Greatrex was saying, I think there's more in the tank. I really do think there's more to come. The step up in trip has obviously helped last time. As the boys were saying, it's, given that kind of test, she really started to improve. I just think that's what she'll do again. Slight worry would be that she hasn't gone that often on really bad ground. She's been doing a lot of winning on good and good to soft, which would, at even money, it slightly worries you. You sort of want everything in your favour, don't you? But I wouldn't be desperately concerned by that, and I think she'll really tough it out and win again.
Okay, he's versatile, isn't he, DJ? This Pete Thomas. He didn't just do those flowery interviews. He can tip as well. What do you reckon?
Yeah, well, sure. I don't know why you're so surprised.
No, you're right.
anyone can tip. It's just tipping winners that's the problem.
Well, that's the trouble, isn't it? We'll look back on it.
He's like York Hill. He could run the Champion Hurdle, the Gold Cup, the Ryanair.
Well, he's like Vroom Vroom Mag, who won it last year, of course. Let's look at the 225 now. It's the Ascot Spring Garden Show, Holloway's Handicap Hurdle. It's a Grade 3, and the 2 races we've looked at so far have had very hot favourites. We've got a slightly bigger price and a very interesting favourite, Frank Hickey.
Yeah, we're actually 4 places on this as well, Bruce. But Jenkins, after winning last weekend, is 7-2 favourite. Cross My Mind is 11-2. Le Broil and Oxford Bay are both 7-1. Night of Sin 9-1. Air Horse 1 and Burbank 10-1. And we're 14-1 bar.
DJ, I think there's plenty of us who saw Jenkins win and it won at the point at which we'd stopped following him. I know that was the case with me. Did you keep the faith?
Oh, no, he's a disgusting horse.
Whoa.
I just can't. Obviously, blinkers and everything made a huge difference to him the last day. And, he was so enthusiastic last time. You just wonder to yourself, how can a horse look to detest racing on 2 occasions on his first 2 starts of the season? Just looks like he's hating every second of it. And then come out in Kempton and love every minute of it. It's just bizarre how a horse can change his mind so much. But so I've given up on him. I don't care if he sounds like me, but I'm giving up on him. I'm really keen on one here, Bruce. A horse I've mentioned on the podcast before, Le Bruel, who's trained by Ben Pauling, ridden by Daryl Jacob. I was so keen on him in a race at Aintree a couple of weeks ago. I put it up as my nap on the podcast. But we've since found out that trying to give £19 to Black Ivory, who has since won at Warwick, was an impossible task. You couldn't give him £19. He's an improving horse from Malcolm Jefferson's. And he actually hit 1.4 in running that day. So that tells you how he did put it up to him. I know he's beaten 6 lengths in the end, but he properly put it up to Black Ivory. If you go back to his form from Newbury in March, he beat Benatar very impressively off level weights. Benatar is rated 142 over hurdles now and 149 over fences. They're talking about him as an Arkle horse. I think Le Bruel needed those couple of runs to get him fully fit. He's a front runner who's an exceptional jumper. And if he does get into a rhythm, 4 places at 7-1, I think is a huge price.
Do you remember that podcast, DJ? I think you, Keels and Frank were on fantastic form. And I had a little acca on 4 horses you put up there. And Le Broy losing. I mean, I could have got a car there. Never mind Frank. I mean, that was very costly, wasn't it? Never mind. It was. So we'll go on a retrieval mission with Le Broy. Pete, who do you think will win this one?
Oh, me. Okay.
Well, you are on the panel.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just.
I mix it up.
I was just trying to work out the pronunciation of Le Broy. That's the trouble when you let Irishmen in charge of French words, isn't it?
Well, tricky, you say that, but we have sometimes we have Brendan Duke on the podcast. He's got the most fantastic French pronunciation.
Is he?
Oh, he's absolutely superb. Honestly, he's like Sacha Distel. Anyway, never mind pronunciation.
Commune in Burgundy, apparently. Jenkins, I mean, it's which camp are you in? I mean, he's also it's always been very highly regarded at the yard, and I wouldn't be quite as strong as to say he's an absolute horror pig of a horse, but he's been frustrating. Good performance last time, but how strong was the race? I'm not entirely convinced. The one I'd be interested in is Oxwich Bay. Evan Williams I heard this put up very early in the season as a horse that was going to make a lot of progress. He seems to have started doing that. His last win was only at Foss Lass, but it was in desperate ground, which is going to help him. He looks to me as though he's a progressive horse, which is what you're looking for in this kind of handicap. Won smoothly at Foss Lass. He's only gone up 3. I'd be interested in. I mean,
and we like the jockey on the Postcast. Mitch Bastian's a bit of a Postcast favourite.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think he's a help rather than a hindrance, which is a good thing. I'd be very interested in him. I mean, I'm not anti-Jenkins, I'd have to say, but I'm very much pro Oxwich Bay.
And Frank, who have you come down on the side of?
Those two were definitely on my short list. Oxford Bay, like, he's run well in 2 handicaps over 2 miles, but he seems to really appreciate the 2.5 miles and getting off the mark at Foss Lass the last time. My only issue with LeBroyle, while the form of that Aintree runs really strong and Black Ivory really franked it last week, Ben Pauling's just badly out of form at the moment. He hasn't had a winner in over a month. He's at 30 runners beaten at the moment. And I know he made some comments yesterday that Batters Hill and Kiddie Start were both going to skip this weekend because there's a little bit of a cloud over the stable. So it'd be the one thing that would put me off him a bit. Now, the one I'm going to tip up is getting to Jenkins. He was very good last week, but he steps up. He's 11 pounds higher. James Bowen takes 5 off. He steps up half a mile in trip. And you're banking on the headgear working again, which he's houndy enough, all right. I wouldn't trust that it'll work a second time. But cross my mind of Artemore. I think I tipped him up Sandown earlier over 2 miles. Now, I had kind of heard that perhaps he's more of a 2.5 mile type. And the softer ground here will actually suit him as well. He was very unlucky at Down Royal in November. He got hampered at a crucial point in the race and was only beaten 2.25 lengths by Top of the Ra. And he ran really well at Sandown when he was third, beaten 4.5 lengths by a hair breadth. And Cad Dulin, who reopposes. But this step up in trip is bound to suit. He got raised £1 for that. But John Joe O'Neill, is it young John Joe, claiming 7. He's actually a very, very stylish claimer. He's not too far behind James Bowen and Mitch Bastian in my book. And effectively, he'll be running off 117. And off that, he has to be involved in the 4 places. I think you go really close. And I wouldn't be surprised if they got 2 quick wins out of him that he actually, he'll have to get up the handicap a bit. But I wouldn't be shocked to see this one end up in the Carl Cup.
Okay, good to see those 3 claimers who you highlighted quite a lot over recent weeks. James Bone, John Joe O'Neill and Mitch Bastian all against each other. Could be a tricast, couldn't it, Frank?
Yeah, the 3 of them are all on our fancied ones. They're brilliant. The 3 of them are absolutely brilliant.
Excellent. 3 o'clock at Ascot is the Bet365 handicap chase. Take it away with a show of betting, Frank.
Yeah, Acting Last is 5-2. Guitar Pete 5-1. Shantou Flyer, Robbins Hill 6-1. Kilcrea Vale 7-1. Forest is Aigle and Forest George at 10-1, and we're 12-1 bar.
Peter Thomas, what floats your boat?
I think you've got to be interested in Acting Last, progressive, very interesting. Price is a bit short, and the last couple of wins have come at, I think, Market Raisin and Leicester, which doesn't excite me greatly. Several of the ones that I desperately liked have come out. Shantou Flower among those that have stayed in. Mitchell Bastian again, never hurts. I think it was first time cheek pieces and a drop in trip last time probably helped. Bit inconsistent, a few pulled up runs lurking around in his makeup there. But there's hit form now, will go on the ground. And you can't be certain that he's going to carry on in that vein. I'd be prepared to give a chance at 6-1.
Peter Thomas goes for Shantou Flyer. Who does David Jennings go for?
Kilcrea Vale, Bruce. Couple of things here. You have to remember this horse ran in the JLT last year, and we've all been obviously waxing lyrical about JLT. You finished 5th to York Hill. York Hill, 4th was Politolog, 3rd was Disco, 2nd was Top Notch, and York Hill obviously won it. It was a really high class affair. Couple of things with Kilcrea Vale. People will kind of wash their hands of him because he was a beaten favourite at Doncaster last time over 3 miles. But the thing about Kilcrea Vale is, I think personally, he simply has to go right-handed and he doesn't stay 3 miles. That's the key things with Kilcrea Vale, and I think Nicky has realised that now. The other key thing seems to be that Jeremiah McGrath has to ride him because his 3 wins, we're with Jeremiah riding him, and he takes over from Nico this time. The other thing is the right-handed thing. Last time at Doncaster, when he was well fancied, he kept jumping out to his right and losing ground. And at Doncaster, you can't. You have to hug the rail. His 3 wins have been at Market Raisin, at Ludlow, and at Fontwell. He's back to a right-handed track, back over 2 mile 5. He's been dropped £2 down to a mark of 137. He's rated 142 this time last year. I think it's far too early to be giving up on Kilcrea Vale. He'd be one of my strongest fancies of the day.
We going each way or all up to win?
He's a funny type of horse, Bruce. I think he's got loads of ability. I'm not quite sure if his attitude is fantastic. So I'd probably just go win on him, because he's not one of these that's guaranteed to be placed. But I certainly think he's the best handicapped horse in the race, and I think he's got everything in his favour.
Frank, what's your verdict?
Yeah, Acting Lass is the one that the bit of an unknown. She's only had 5 runs ever. He's been beaten by Finian's Oscar when he was second. He was 4th to Beyond Conceit, who ran really well in the 3 mile Grade 1 entry afterwards. His mark is high enough though, of 143. Look, this isn't a great confidence pick, but Guitar Pete, since he's moved to Nicky Richards, has had about, I'd say, nearly 10 runs, and he's only been out of the first 2 twice. Won the competitive handicap at Haydock, and in the Bet-Victor Gold Cup when he was nearly brought down at the first. He went away and won the Caspian Caviar now, albeit he was fortunate due to Starkitect breaking down. But he's only got £5, and that race is really strong. When you like Clanders O'Bow is really progressive. And I just think he's 5-1 with us. I can see him being a little bit weak in the market this evening and into the morning. You might get 13-2 or 7-1. I think if you get that kind of price, I'd back him each way. I think he'll be involved. I would be afraid that Acting Lass could have £10 in hand, but there's plenty of pace on here. And I think anything that like you have so Kilcrea Vale, Robbins Hill, Shantou Flyer, Tenor Nivernais, they all like to be prominent, and potentially Manila Daddy. And it could be a bit of a burn up, and it might suit one just to hang back off the lead a small bit. And if Acting Lass isn't thrown in, I think Guitar Pete is bound to be involved. And I'll side with him each way.
Thank you, chaps. Let's look at Haydock next.
Check out Paddy's Rewards Club. Place 5 bets of £10 or more across any sport in a week and get a £10 free bet the next week. Paddy Power, you beauty! Max £10 bonus per person per week. Excludes shop bets. Selected odds. Conditions and exclusions apply. 18+. BeGambleAware.org.
OK, we've got hopefully 3 races at Haydock on ITV, weather permitting. Unfortunately, the weather gods haven't been very kind to Haydock all season, it seems. And this week we've got rain and cold temperatures, so there will be an inspection. Hopefully it's on, and if it is, the first of those 3 races is the 205. It's the Sky Bet Supreme Trial. Frank, what's Paddy Power's latest betting?
Yeah, Waterlord is 2-1. First Flow 5-2. Lost in Translation 11-4. Liston Varna Lad 8-1. Midnight Shadow 12-1. And McGowan's Pass at 16-1.
You go first, Frank.
This is a tricky little race. Lost in Translation has some solid form. He was second to Claim and Taken Forgan at Newbury earlier in the year, and he won last time at Newbury. But my one issue is, again, Colin Tizard Stabler aren't really firing at the moment. I think he might be vulnerable. If you go back a few years, I think in 2010, Don McCain won this with Pedlar's Cross, and in 2012 he won it with Sinners and Ashes. And of course the 2 of them went on to win at the festival. But Waterlord was a very good bumper horse for John Ferguson. He was only beaten on his 4th start after winning 3 in a row. I think it was a listed bumper at Cheltenham behind Paddy Andy in November. He made his hurdles debut was second, beaten by Cirrus Mauvier, and then he had 18 months off the track and switched to Donald McCain. Now, he ran a Haydock on his reappearance, clearly needed the run, and his 2 runs since have been very impressive. Just went out in front and put it to bed very easy. Now, this is a step up in grade, obviously, but I think the way he's won so far and the way Don McCain's yard are going this year, they're absolutely bombing it. I think he's the one to beat. Now, again, it's not with too much confidence. First Flow is solid enough as well, but I think if there's one horse here, I won't say capable of winning the Supreme, but capable of at least running it, I think it's probably Waterlord.
OK, and a quick shout out for a Donald McCain interview in Sunday's Racing Poetry, which is very interesting. You didn't do that one, did you?
I did that one.
You did it?
Yeah, I went up north.
How was it?
All the way up there. It was excellent. He's one of the top men in the game. Donald McCain's absolute superstar. And we had a very long chat about Waterlord, in fact.
Right,
and
OK, we'll stick with you then. What did he say?
We had a chat about Testify. Very sweet on Testify for the novice chase, the 3-runner novice chase. Waterlord is a bit of a conundrum, to be honest with you. He's entered in the Betfair Hurdle, which is probably going to be heavy ground. He's entered in this on heavy ground. He's won twice on heavy ground. Trainer says when you're really going to see improvement in him is when he gets much better ground. It's at the however many days stage it was when I saw him, he said, there's nothing in there that frightens me in today's race. If anything's going to get him beat, it might be the ground, ironically enough, because he's already won twice on it. He clearly doesn't think that this horse is ideally suited by heavy ground, even though he can win on it. I think he'll be good enough to win this. He'd be, I'd be very strong on him.
Oh, excellent. Some inside info there from Pete. That's very good news.
He's certainly a horse to be looking out for in a month's time, so I'm not sure where they're going with him. Certainly a horse to be following, though.
Splendid. DJ, what's your verdict on this race?
I'm just glad you went to Peter first, because you would have made me look like a right pill-up, because the reason I fancy Waterlord is because of heavy ground.
Yeah, but listen, hang on a sec, DJ. I look, with all due respect to Donald McCain, I'm not sure these trainers are always the best readers of form. Now, if he says the horse is better on good ground, I don't think that necessarily means he's... And you've touched upon it there, Pete. His heavy ground record's really good, isn't it?
He's got a very good level of ability on heavy ground.
Yeah.
He can go on heavy ground, no problem at all. And it wouldn't necessarily put you off for tomorrow's race, but I think you're going to be looking in a month's time when he gets on some decent ground. I don't know where they're going, as I say, but when he gets on some decent ground, you'll see an even better horse.
Wow, interesting. So then, DJ, what do you make of that?
Yeah, see, the thing about Waterlord is, if you remember the day at Haydock, I just really hope it's not going to be the same tomorrow. But that day he won at Haydock, just before the day before New Year's Eve. It was scary to watch that day at Haydock, because it was watch behind the couch stuff, like jumping the last in the novices chase, last but not least, and Johnny Sofa. Like, they barely got over the last but not least that day was about maybe 2 lengths clear with possibly 200 yards to go, and he won by 36 lengths. That's how slow they were walking. And Waterlord, just devoured the ground, seemed to absolutely adore it. Now, maybe he has a decent level of ability. You often hear, trainers saying a really good horse will go on all types of ground, and maybe he just adapts to it better than other horses. But you go back, maybe he's going back to the Ballyandy bumper form from the open meeting at Cheltenham a few years ago. He's only beaten 3 lengths by Ballyandy. But both at Bangor and at Haydock, he just seemed to really enjoy himself. There was no messing about. He was up with the pace the last time he made all. And what price is he, Frank? I could see him going off much, much shorter than he is at the moment. I could see him being a pretty strong favourite.
Waterlord's 2-1. Yeah.
2-1. 3 thumbs up for Waterlord, then, it sounds like, and get on early. OK, let's look at the 240, the Unibet Champion Hurdle Trial. And good old the new one, he's chasing a 4-timer in the race. And I believe he heads the market, Frank Hickey.
Yeah, he's even money. Chitabello 7-4, Klein 4-1, and Unison's 50-1.
David Jennings, who's going to win this?
I think Chitabello will win, Bruce. Look, the new one is a lovely horse. I cannot understand the affection that you all have for the new one. He's a lovely horse. He's a grand horse. But, he's not one of the best horses we've ever seen.
Who says he is?
Well, the amount of people you talk to and the tweets and the stories you read about him, we have... I'd say if you go back through the Racing Post in the last 6 or 7 years, I'd say there's been as much written about the new one as any other horse in England.
Bullshit.
It seems that there's
No, that's not true. That's just not true.
You don't
what
think
are you
so?
on about? He's a loved horse because he's got longevity and he gives his all, and people like those horses.
And he's won £1 million.
Yeah, he's won £1 million quid.
I do really like the horse, but he's not a superstar.
No, we know that. No one's saying he is, but you've got to understand, DJ, that you get these horses and they keep turning up and they keep giving it their all. And because they keep going there, they're like these boxers who just go out there and, they never say die. And the public like those horses, and that's the way it is.
Yeah.
That's what it's like. You just think we're all a load of soppy old fools over in England, don't you?
I have nothing against the new one. And in fact, if they decide to run him in the Stayers Hurdle, I think he's got a cracking chance. And I think Nigel has done a terrific job with him over the years. But I don't think he's a genuine Group 1 or Grade 1 horse. And I think he's vulnerable here, given £6 to Chitabello. The piece of form with Chitabello that I think is most interesting is his actual course and distance win from a couple of seasons ago. He beat Melodic Rendezvous and My Tent or Yours on heavy ground in that Betfair Price Rush Hurdle. That to me is on the ground is a standout piece of form. The new one, we go back through this race, he just labours over the line in it every year. But maybe this year he mightn't just get away with it. And Chitabello, given how well he handled heavy ground that day, I think he may be able to beat the new one, who I like, but I just don't love.
I'm glad you like him. Peter Thomas, we love the new one.
I'm shaking my head here. I
Yeah,
can't believe what these boys are saying.
I know.
I was actually thinking of opposing the new one, but after that, I'm going to put my badge on, the new one fan club presidency badge.
No, come on.
This is what I'm talking about.
We have to be clinical here, Pete. Come on. If you were betting with your own hard-earned, who would you be backing?
You don't always have to be clinical, but I will be. I do think what's wrong with the new one? I mean, I think he's, this is his kind of race. I can't see any reason why he won't win it. He doesn't get you excited at 11 to 10, but he rarely puts a foot wrong. You know pretty much where you stand with him, and he's won £1 million. You don't win £1 million by finishing fifth every time, do you? So
that's the equivalent of throwing a kettle over a pub. That. Frank Hickey, what do you think with this one? Will you be back in the new one, taking him on, or just sitting and watching?
Yeah, it's probably not a race I'd be going crazy on, really. The new one's obviously won this race the last 3 years. I would argue this is probably, even though there's only 4 runners and probably only 2 serious rivals, this is probably the strongest renewal. I'd be with David here. I think Chitabello, there's plenty of reasons to think he can shake up the new one. He obviously had a little bit of time off between February and December. He set back to Miss Cheltenham. But if you go back to the Christmas hurdle last year, he was 2.25 lengths behind the new one off level weights. He's getting £6 here. And that was on good ground. He's won a Haydock last November of 2016. Even in the Kingwell hurdle at Wincanton, he gave Yanworth a right fright, and So Real was behind him. And again, that was soft ground as well. Just getting the £6. The new one, even though he's won a Haydock, I think nearly every time he's run there, he's been vulnerable a few times. I remember Bertie Mont nearly beat him in this, I think, 2 years ago.
Yeah, wasn't he sort of slaloming after the last, wasn't he? Something very odd.
He jumped out to the right, and he just about, put the afterburners on after the last and ground it out. But I think Chitabello really put up to him. And I wouldn't be going crazy here. I think just the £6 might just be enough to see Chitabello beat the new one. But again, I wouldn't be over either.
Righto, Frank. The 3:15, the highlight of the Haydock card. It's the Peter Marsh Handicap Chase. And Frank, take us away with a show.
Yeah, Tintern Theatre is 5-1. Rock the Casbah 11-2. Hanane 7-1. Yala Yankees 8-1 along with Captain Redbeard and Walk in the Mill. Forest is Aiglas 10-1. The Dutchman 11-1, and we're 12-1 bar.
I've got Tintern Theatre in my horse tracker, but I can't remember putting him in, and I can't remember why. But if he's in there, it means I've got to back him. Do you go with the Fav here, DJ, or have you dug one out from further down the list?
Bruce, I was all over Rock the Casbah for the Welsh National. I was gutted he didn't run, and do you know what? They're probably a little bit disappointed they didn't run now, given the way the Welsh National turned out, and the fact that it's going to be just as heavy here. It's going to be bottomless. But I do think he's the best horse in the race, even though he doesn't have top weight. I think he's a type of horse I think we probably haven't seen the best of yet. I could see him, running in the Grand National for the next couple of years. His novice form is strong. He chased home Politolog last season. And this season, obviously, he's best at Chepstow. But I thought that winning return in October was a really good performance. He's not flashy, but he does get the job done. I think he'll cope with the ground fine. He's won on pretty poor ground before, and I'm just hoping their patience will be rewarded here. I think he's pretty solid. I think is he 11-2 at Paddy Power. I think he's pretty solid.
David Jennings tips Rock the Casbah. Frank Hickey tips.
I think Rock the Casbah should be favourite. He did it nicely at Chepstow. Obviously, the Welsh National have been the target. He's very, very solid. I think he'll be in the 3. I think he will go off Av, actually, to be honest. Again, it's not a race I was in love with. It's going to be very hard work, and you want something you're guaranteed to stay. And there's plenty of them will try and take each other on in front here as well. And I'm going to go for a bit of an outsider, a bit of a flyer each way. Knockin' Rawley of Kim Bailey is going to carry 10-4, which would be a big help in these conditions. He was beaten a short-headed air on his reappearance, and we've beaten 5 lengths at Newbury last time. Probably could have been ridden a little bit handier that day. There was only 9 runners, but if you go back last year to the Eider, he was second, beaten 4 lengths by Mystery, which is a very good run. That was over 4 miles on soft ground. Now, if he can just lay up with them for the first circuit and a half, I think he'll be staying on strongly at the finish. Now, he's 12 or 14 to 1, and again, it won't be a bet we're going mad on, but he'll be my each way selection. I think Rock the Casbah is absolutely nailed on to run well. I'd have his five ahead of Pinton Theatre.
Okay, the boys both very sweet on Rock the Casbah's chances. Do your views clash with theirs?
I like that. That's good.
Glad you got it. Thanks.
You're like that bloke on Springwatch, aren't you? He likes to stick the Clash song titles in. Who's it? Chris Packham. Did you see him when he did that?
I'm unaware of that. I do watch Springwatch, but I didn't know he did that.
He has themes that he tries to introduce them all the way, saying Guns on the Roof, Rock the Casbah. By the by, and I don't clash with them. No, I think Rock the Casbah is rock solid. I think that last run does look very good. The yards in form, which I think is important. They weren't in form earlier. They are in form now. I like one a little bit further down the list, Walk in the Mill, of Robert Walford's. I think the last bit of form, third at Ascot, looks good. I mean, in fact, his last two runs seem mark him down as an improving horse, I would have thought. He's had enough runs, you wouldn't really expect it, but he does seem to be improving. The ground won't be a problem. He does look to be going the right way. Looks like a mildly progressive horse, and at that price I'd be interested in. But Rock the Casbah does look the solid one. OK, we'll get the naps in a moment, but first of all we'll get the horses that the boys want to get you guys backing that aren't the naps, so it's round-up time. Pete, have you got anything that isn't your nap but you think people should be lumping on? Well, he's no price at all, but it's only a three-runner race. Testify in the novice chase at Haydock.
That's the 130, isn't it?
I think if you're into shorties, to me that's the shorty of the day.
Okay.
I know I'm going to sound like a Donald McCain groupie, but I mean I was up there watching the horses work the other day, and long chat to the trainer, and he's not the kind of trainer who really bulls up his horses either. I think Testify would be at a short price, but if you want one to lump on or as the cornerstone for all your ACCAs, I think that's the one.
That's the 130 at Haydock. Right, you can put your feet up now because Dave and Frank are going to do their roundups.
Your cup of tea?
Yeah, well, actually, I'll tell you what. You probably got time to get down to McDonald's actually and get me a burger and chips. DJ, take it away. How many have we got?
4, Bruce.
4. Go on, then.
4?
Yeah. I'm going to try and do 4 within 60 seconds. Okay.
Go on.
Okay. 12.25 Navan, Riders on the Storm, trained by Tom Tapp, ridden by JJ Slevin, was beaten by Great Triangle at Limerick over Christmas, but is still a big raw baby and just was too keen that day. He can reverse that form and he's going to make a smash and chaser someday. So Riders on the Storm, 12.25. 1 o'clock Navan again. Ante for Willie Mullins and David Mullins, likely to be a short price favourite here, but I'm not convinced about the form of the maiden hurdle at Leopardstown over Christmas. And I thought Massey's Wood ran in a better maiden hurdle than Ante ran in. Dicey O'Reilly won it for Henry de Bromhead. It was his first run since September. He wears blinkers for the first time, and I think he'll cope with the ground. I thought that was a really eye-catching run. That's Massey's Wood in the 1 o'clock at Navan, and one of the bigger price in the 135 at Navan. Harette, trained by Charles Burns, ridden by Philip Enright. I thought it was a nice return to action at Punchestown on New Year's Eve. It's rated 115. It's only got 10 stone. Charles Burns was among the winners the last couple of weeks. His horses are coming into form. I think Harette is very interesting. And the final one is Cotto Rico in the 355 at Taunton. He was really, really impressive last time. I don't think the handicapper has a hold of him yet, and I'd be very surprised if he's beaten. That's Cotto Rico in the 355 at Taunton.
DJ, fantastic. That was as succinct as I've ever known you. I hope those 4 all run well. Frank, how many are in your roundup?
Not too many. I'd be with Peter. Testify. And I know I put him up a couple of times when he was running over 2 miles on soft ground, but like this fella's a brother to Wymot, who was a 3-mile chaser, and it's actually very exciting that he can win over 2 miles because he's going to be better over this 2.5. And I would be shocked if he ended up winning a good race 40 years out. If not Cheltenham, perhaps in Aintree or Ayr. But yeah, he'll take all the beating tomorrow. But he's definitely one to put in your tracker before the season's out. He'll win a good race. In the 405 Ascot, Santini made his debut at Newbury over hurdles, winning over 2.5 miles. He was very impressive that day. He was a point winner before that. The second, Chef des Obeaux, was a very impressive winner at Ascot last week, and I think he'd won at Uttoxeter the time before. And even the 5th, Bill and Barron had won at Chepstow afterwards as well. So that form is working out nicely. Nicky Henderson's in tremendous form. He's going to take an awful lot of beating. And again, he's another one that could be involved in the festival before the season's out. The 1240, not so much a tip, but Gary Moore was ramping his juvenile hurler, Et Mon Allure, I think is how you pronounce it, even though someone will do a better job than me. But it's running against Noyati, who won nicely at Newbury on debut, beating another Gary Moore horse called Cat Dad. It'll be interesting to see how the market goes there. Noyati sets a decent level of form, and if you see what happened with Radishan, who made a winning debut at Kempton, he stepped up a fair bit second time out last weekend, winning very impressively. And if Noyati stepped up to that degree, he'd take a lot of beating. But I think the market will be a good point there because Gary Moore does have a line into the horse. And Navan, I'm just going to give an each way shout for one called Miles to Memphis in the 135. It's won at Navan before, won a handicap off a Stone 4. It was fourth in the Irish Tsarevich off 85, which is running Navan as well this year. He's running off 123 here. He has a few lengths to make up a return to vendor, but he's £5 better off. It's not one I'd be mad about, but I think you might get 8 or 10 to 1, and I think you'll have worse each way bets this weekend if you can get that kind of price.
Bruce.
Go on, DJ.
Bruce, I have just a man that's able to pronounce the horse that Frank fancies at Ascot. Hold on 1 second.
Hello all.
Yeah.
It looks like a moi alors to me.
Oh, Brendan Duke, how are you?
Not too bad, Bruce, yourself?
Yeah, very good. What a pleasant surprise that you've wandered in on the Postcast. Now you're here, Brendan. We certainly need a weekend winner from you. What have you got for us?
I thought I was a little bit surprised that Chittabella was twice the price of the new one in Haydock. I'd have had them an awful lot closer than that.
Okay, brilliant. That'll do. Lovely to hear from you, Brendan. Hopefully you'll join us as a fully fledged guest soon, my friend.
Yeah,
right.
we need right. Bye.
That was great, Brendan Duke.
Yeah.
Excellent. Right, let's get the naps.
This will not be beaten.
Peter Thomas, let's hope you start off with the winner. Who's it going to be?
Who's going to be? I'm a bit embarrassed. It's one of those days that I don't like putting up favourites. Not my style of punting or tipping, but Waterlord I think would be my nap for the day. The ground is not a concern. I think he's going to win tomorrow, and I think he's really a horse to follow. Get him on better ground, and I think he could win. He could win a big handicap.
Waterlord in the 205 at Haydock Park. DJ, who's your nap?
Kilcrea Vale in the 3 o'clock at Ascot.
And Frank.
Lingfield 2 o'clock. Karam Albari returned to form last week over the same course and distance, winning very easily by 2 lengths. He was out the back the whole way. Martin Hardy pulled him out wide, and he absolutely motored down the outside to win by 2 lengths. He's £4 higher here, but he won last January off a mark of 66. He's only off 60 here, and Martin Harley is on again. He's a brilliant jockey, and he's becoming a bit of a go-to jockey in the all-weather at the moment. I think he'll take all the beating in the 2 o'clock Lingfield. A
10-year-old on the flat. That's a sort of Paul Keeley horse. Okay, well done, chaps. Thank you very much. Well done also to Will from Brighton. You won a £25 free bet from Paddy Power for getting the question that Maddie asked on Monday correct. Well done. There'll be another chance to win a free £25 or €25 bet, courtesy of Paddy Power, in Monday's Postcast.
Check out Paddy's Rewards Club. Place 5 bets of £10 or more across any sport in a week and get a £10 free bet the next week. Paddy Power, you beauty! Max £10 bonus per person per week. Excludes shop bets. Selected odds. Conditions and exclusions apply. 18 plus. BeGambleAware.org.
Hi there, it's Bruce Millington, Peter Thomas, David Jennings and Frank the Tank Hickey from Paddy Power. We're looking ahead to Sunday's action, and the main card of the day takes place in Ireland at Thurles, and the big race there is the 250, the Horse and Jockey Hotel Kinloch Bray Chase. Be hard to call this the greatest renewal of all time, I would have thought, chaps, but it's certainly a very interesting race, and Atois Phil heads the market, doesn't he, Frank?
Yeah, he's 11th to with us at the moment. American Tom 2-1, Woodland Opera 5-1, Nambor 10-1, and Arctic Skipper is 25-1.
David Jennings, is there a clear bet here?
The last 3 winners of this race, Bruce: 2015 Don Cossack, 2016 Don Cossack, 2017 Sizing John. So it's produced the last 2 Gold Cup winners. But I think I tip a lot of losers on this podcast. But I think one winner I can definitely tip is that this year's winner will not win the Cheltenham Gold Cup.
And who is this year's winner?
That's narrowed down. I think you probably have to chance American Tom, to be honest with you. Atoy Phil is obviously favourite. He's got solid form. He was battered by Batchason at Tremor. I don't think Batchason would beat American Tom by 13 lengths, to be honest with you. He's been a bit of an early horse, American Tom. He's obviously held in higher regard than he's ran. But, you know, he's beat over hurdles. He beat Squaw with her impressively. You know, on his chase debut, Punchestown, he beat Gangster, which is solid form. look, he was disappointing at Nace in November on his return to action, but he jumped quite well there. Might have just needed the run. I think you have to chance him. He's the only potential bet in the race because he could be better than we've seen so far.
Okay, DJ fancies American Tom at 2-1. Frank Hickey, what do you reckon?
Oh yeah, this is a very weak renewal. I thought American Tom's getting a bit of weight. He's not one you'd set your clock by, and I'd probably just tip up a top 12 field. But again, it's not one where I'd be getting the checkbook out to back it. I might have a small bet on it.
You won't be having a car on him, no?
I won't be having four figures on him anyway, that's for sure.
Okay. Pete, does this float your boat from a betting event?
I'd be misleading people if I suggested I had any interest or opinion on this race. So it doesn't.
Wouldn't be the first time.
Go on, then who'd you fancy? No,
I've got absolutely no idea what's going to win it, which isn't a surprise to anybody, and I'm not going to pretend I do.
I love your honesty. Let's move on to the 3:20 at Thurles. It's the Coolmore National Hunt Sires, Irish EBF Mares Novices Chase. Snappy, Grade 2. Have we got a show yet, Frank?
No, it's not priced up yet. We might try and get it up this evening.
Give us the winner then. I think Denaria De Zobo will win this. What do you think?
Yeah, I wouldn't disagree. She's getting £7 off the lot of them here, and she probably set the standard as well. You go back to even at Clonmel earlier in the year, she won a listed chase there by 22 lengths very easily. She was fourth in the Drinmore behind Death Duty, and obviously she was very badly hampered at Leopardstown in the Grade 1 at Christmas. This is probably a drop down in class for her really, and she should be able to beat them all here getting the £7.
DJ?
Yeah, does it just if you're thinking about backing the Denaria De Zobo with a short price, she'd probably win, and she's the most likely winner. But she just completely lost her confidence last time. Her run in the Drinmore was actually quite good. She was beaten 9, just under 10 lengths by Death Duty. They tried to pitch her in with all the allowances in the Grade 1. And she since obviously ran the Grade 1. And I fancied her in that Grade 1 because she was getting all the weight. But they've been holding her up, and I don't think she's enjoying it. And I'd love to just see her let loose this time and, let do her own thing by Jack Kennedy. Her jump, she was beaten before she was hampered last time. Her jumping went to pieces, and she was stalling up going into her fences. So if you are thinking about Denaria De Zobo, backing her at a short price, I think the first 3 fences will tell you all you need to know. If she attacks the first 3 fences, she could win half the track. But just a little bit worried. I think she is lacking in confidence at the minute, a bit like myself.
Oh, don't say that. You're a very confident chap, DJ, aren't you?
Yeah, my last tip and appearance on this show was pretty poor, though.
Don't beat yourself up about it, okay? You'll be fine. Pete, have you got anything to add to that?
Only that if you were thinking of backing Denaria De Zobo at a very short price, she was beaten 62 lengths last time, and that
but she
really
did get
doesn't
a terrible run. Didn't she?
Really 62 lengths, you'd have to lose a leg to make an excuse. No, I'm certainly not interested in backing a short price with that profile. I wouldn't know what would beat it though.
Okay, we've got Chelmsford, we've got Fontmore, and inspection permitting, we've got Newcastle on Sunday. Have you got anything for us, Pete?
On
Sunday.
On Sunday?
Yeah.
No, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I'm not, again...
Don't worry.
I'm not going to...
We'd rather have no tip than a concocted
I had a look
half-baked
through it,
tip.
but it seemed to be a sort of mundane, run-of-the-mill kind of card.
DJ, anything anywhere else for you?
Oh, yeah, the best race of the day is the 150 at Thurles, and I'm sure Frank is going to come to this as well. And a horse that he'll probably like, that I'm going to get in there before him. Articulum, trained by Terence O'Brien. This horse won a maiden hurdle at Cork by 35 lengths. When you look at the form, you kind of say that must have been a desperate race. The 4th horse, Dicey O'Reilly, won the maiden hurdle I spoke about earlier at Leopardstown over Christmas. Henry de Bromhead thinks he's a Grade 1 horse, and he's going to run in the Delight Novice Hurdle at Leopardstown at the Dublin Racing Festival. Articulum came back from, I think it was a year and a half off to win that race. He was a bumper winner on heavy ground at Limerick. He also won a Nace bumper at heavy ground where he beat Woods well. He's just a mud machine, absolutely loves mud, and could on this ground be something really, really special. So I'm looking forward to Articulum in the 150 at Thurles.
Frank, has DJ stolen your thunder there?
He did. That's the one I had as well. This Articulum has some very good form. It won a point, and on its first bumper run, it was behind. It was third at Punchestown. Now it went off 7-1. For Terence O'Brien run to go off 7-1 on debut, I'll tell you what to think of it. Champer's a nice one. First Figaro was second. He ended up being 5th in the champion bumper. Like Arquist, Rocklander, Ed Wolf were all behind. It was a really good bumper. And then he was second to new to this town of Thurles next time on soft heavy ground, where he looked all over the winner, just got out battled. He won twice on heavy ground at Naas and Limerick, and he was beaten on good ground at Punchestown behind blow by blow. He obviously had a setback, as David said there, and came back and won at Cork very, very easy. He was very impressive. And the comments after the race were the trainer thought he'd come on for it, that he wasn't fully fit. Now, if that's the case, he's an absolute tool. And potentially you might get a nice enough price around him, because like you've got Beyond the Laws won his last 2 by 44 lengths. Dom Dolo's won his last 2. Simple to Flow for Willie, and he has Borough Saint as well, who beat Flawless Escape, who won at Leopardstown. So it's a really strong race. And of course, you've Dartmouth Park for Gordon. So you could get an each way price about this articulum. I think.
Oh, really? I was going to ask you about what price.
No.
Do I think you'll get 5 or 6 to 1 at least?
Absolutely not. Are you not an odds compiler? You'll be about 15 to 8 or 7 to 4.
Oh, here we go. Do you remember his last attempt to tell an odds compiler what was right and what was wrong? Western Rider, wasn't it, Frank?
Yeah, I don't know how that went. How that goes.
Okay. All right. Well, listen. We'll hope that we get a decent price. But you think 2 to 1, DJ, and Frank, you think more around 5 to 1, do you?
I know. I'm hoping. Like I said, I haven't sat down and priced the race myself, but like they could probably go up first and the rest just copy. But if someone else went up before us, I'd be hopeful enough you might get a little bit of a price about it. But I really fancy him. I think it'd be very difficult to beat. And then this is not a tip, but the 4 o'clock, the Fox Hunters, Fox Rocks running against Gil Gamboa. That's a race to savour. That's going to be a really good race. And of course, you have a couple of decent ones there. My Murphy's in there as well, who was a very good handicap chaser. He won at Thyested. So that's a race to savour as well. And just up in Newcastle at 2:30. It's a bit of a stab in the jar, but My Old Gold is running over 2.5 miles. I think it's a mayor's novice hurdle over 2.5. And this was third in debut, over 2 miles of air behind McGowan's Pass. Now, this won 2 point-to-points over 3 miles, and the step up and triple really helped. And it's getting 7 or 6 pounds off the top 2 of both one. Now, one's rated 125, the other 112. I wouldn't really be put too much mass in those ratings, and I think this one's going to step forward a little bit. It was in air last week, and it was being backed before air got called off. So I think this will have an each way chance. Probably be again 5 or 6 to 1, probably first show, and I think it'll go off short on that. I think it'll probably rough up the top 2 in the market.
Jolly good. Okay, we are back with Maddie and the gang on Monday. And also, don't forget, we're into our Tuesday regular series of Cheltenham anti-post postcasts. And this week, or rather next Tuesday, we've got the Champion Chase, the Betway Queen Mother Champion Chase. Patrick Mullins will be on the panel, so don't miss that. None of you lot are on the panel, so you can each have a very quick free crack at the Champion Chase. I will be Frank Hickey in terms of reading out the prices. It's 4 to 5 Altior, 3 Duvan, 7 to 2 York Hill, 4 to 1 Min, 4 to 1 Political Log. I presume here, Frank, we're non-run and no bet, aren't we?
We are, yeah.
We are 9 to 2 Undersowed, 6 Fox Norton, 7 Greatfield, 8 to 1 Waiting Patiently, 10 Top Notch, and 14 to 1 Bar. Pete, at this stage, who would you be backing for the Champion Chase?
At this stage, I wouldn't be backing anyone, but I think it's a bad time to be backing horses. I much prefer to sort of know what's actually going to be running, as I know it's not running a bet. I mean, I don't see any great reason to oppose Altior, to be honest.
What about part from the fact he's had this massive fitness scare and might not be as good?
Well, that's not the impression I get. I mean, I was down at the yard a couple of weeks ago.
Here we go, down at the yard.
And they don't seem to have any problems at all with the horse. It's not making those funny noises it was making before. Nico de Boinville says, I'd be perfectly happy if it went there without a prep run. Okay. There didn't seem to be any worries about it.
Really?
Perhaps they're lying to me, I don't know. But they seem to be very relaxed about the whole thing and going there with the best horse. He's not a dreadful price. He's the price he should be.
Okay. DJ?
Oh, Bruce, I'm so sorry, but I just think Altior will win. I think, fine. It's not like an injury. It's not a tendon. It's not a leg. It's a breathing operation. And, breathing operations these days are fairly straightforward. And I just think he's another sprinter Sacra.
Okay. And what about you, Frank?
Look, Altior is obviously very talented, but I'd like to see him get a run in before Cheltenham. I think, as good as he is, it's a big ask to come straight from and make your season reappearance in a champion chase. Is there anything then I want to back even on run or bet? Not particularly. It's one where, like, Blitlog will definitely run. You'd imagine.
Do you think York Hill will run in this?
Oh, that's like trying to second guess Willie Mullins. Like, Jesus, it's impossible. Like, I wouldn't. I think it's dependent on what happens with Faugheen. I think if Faugheen gets beaten or disappoints again, I wouldn't be shocked to see York Hill end up in the champion hurdle.
Oh, I hope so. I'm on him at a massive price for that. I really do hope
like
that happens.
I think it would liven up the champion hurdle as well if he did. Just at least you get a bit of a contest against Bouver. And like, obviously Duvan's had a setback, and I'd be surprised to see him get back in time for Cheltenham. Fox Norton will run in the Ryanair. Great Field is one that you potentially could take a flyer on. He looked the right two last year. Blast out in front and nothing got near him. If he needs to come back and probably do well in his reappearance to book a ticket for Cheltenham. But like, if you're looking for a non-runner no bet angle at 7-1, he'll have to come back and be impressive to go to Cheltenham. And if he is impressive, he'll probably be shorter. And if he's not impressive, he won't go. So if you're looking for an angle, non-runner no bet, that may be the one. But it's not something I'd be getting involved in right now.
Jolly good. Well, hopefully Patrick will bring us all the latest from the Willie Mullins camp on that, so don't miss that on Tuesday. Weekend plans, Pete? What are you up to? Off to a craft ale fair or something?
No, I think that's been cancelled. What am I doing? I think I'm making burgers and drinking lots of good wine tomorrow night. I think that's the plan. Yeah, I've been
burgers.
I've been drafted
whale's eggs,
homemade craft burgers. Obviously,
wow.
With a bit of homemade craft ale.
Lovely, that'll be nice. Hope you've enjoyed the postcast. Do come back and join us again soon.
I shall.
Excellent. David Jennings, what's the weekend hold for you?
Homemade craft burgers.
I know.
Oh my God. We don't have them in Ireland, let me tell you. I'm actually quite excited because me and Aoife are going to John Bishop tonight in Dublin.
Right.
You know, the Liverpudlian comedian
comic, yeah.
Yeah, I like him, and we're going to that, and it's great because we're obviously getting married next year, and so we moved back home and we're saving every penny, but this was got before Christmas, so it's like a Christmas present, so it's like a free night out, so it's great.
Try and remember his best joke and reproduce it next week, won't you?
I will, yeah.
As long as it's clean. Frank, what are you up to this weekend?
Quite enough weekend. A working Saturday, off Sunday. Take it handy. Like David, we're actually going to a comedian Tuesday night, so that's why I'm staying in this weekend. Jim Jeffries playing in the Three Arena. For anyone who doesn't know him, he's an Australian comedian who has a TV show in America, but he's filthy, but he's hilarious. And if you want to have a laugh, put into YouTube Jim Jeffries gun control and watch that video. It's absolutely priceless.
Okay, well, it sounds like you won't be able to reproduce his best joke if he's that blue, but enjoy yourself, have plenty of laughs, have plenty of winners. Thanks very much, chaps. Thank you for watching or listening. Like I say, Maddie's back on Monday. Do join us next Friday for another Weekend Racing Postcast.
Check out Paddy's Rewards Club. Place 5 bets of £10 or more across any sport in a week and get a £10 free bet the next week. Paddy Power, you beauty! Max £10 bonus per person per week. Excludes shop bets. Selected odds. Conditions and exclusions apply. 18+. BeGambleAware.org.